Happening today here on The Now, marijuana businesses are taking a hit as the investigation continues into what's causing sicknesses linked to vaping. We're looking at what this could mean for the pot industry's future. And as the campaign trail heats up, we look at ways to avoid controversial conversations in the workplace. McDonald's and Disney, latest companies to get into plant-based food. This trend just keeps getting bigger. So we're looking into what's really in this stuff.
Thanks, Annie, and thank you for joining us on The Now Indy. I'm Amanda Starantino. Karina McClurkin was last seen in October of 2016, but her family has never stopped searching for her. In honor of what would have been Karina's 21st birthday, the McClurkin family today gathered to serve a meal in Foster Park. Karina was just 18 years old when she went missing on October 11th, 2016. She was last seen walking down the 10,000 block of South Washington Street in Kokomo. Police have executed search warrants and pursued several leads in the case over the past 2 years, but have not turned up any info on where McClurkin could be. An urgent plea from the city of Indianapolis and a local health department to make sure your kids are safe from possible lead exposure. A local NAACP branch, the city of Indianapolis, and the Marion County Public Health Department have unveiled a lead testing initiative in an effort to make sure your kids are not at risk. That initiative will offer free testing to students in kindergarten and first grade at the mayor's charter schools, Indianapolis Public Schools, and Pike Township schools. And according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, there is no known safe level of lead in young children, and millions of children are still exposed to lead in their homes.
This lead poisoning causes damage to the brain and the nervous system. So that's why you see young kids will have a developmental delay. They will have a learning and behavioral problems. They may complain of abdominal pain.
If you have a kindergartner or first grader at Pike, IPS, or at a mayor's charter school, you will be given a consent form to fill out. And if you agree to lead testing, the health department will give your child a finger prick test. And if your child tests positive for lead, the health department will inspect your home and other places to find the source of the lead and will get your child treatment.
Amanda, a beautiful fall day here across central Indiana on this Friday Eve, or AKA Thursday. Lots of sunshine out there. Tomorrow we may have a couple of showers and thunderstorms in parts of the Hoosier State, but right now 74 degrees. That humidity only 27% here as we've had that northwest breeze, at times a little breezy, between about 10 and 15 miles per hour. Check out Crawfordsville. Your temperatures in the upper 60s right now. Richmond at 71 and 73 in Columbus. And we look at the big picture on the satellite and radar because it is so quiet here. See a few showers in eastern Tennessee, continuing, of course, to move away from us. So if you are going to be heading out this evening, our temperatures at 7 o'clock still around 70 degrees. Clear skies, though, they'll drop about 10 degrees as we get to 10 o'clock tonight with 60 on the thermometer. A light northwest wind for us at that point. So things are comfortably cool tonight, but that is going to be changing here as we look to the days ahead. We're back into the 80s tomorrow, and it looks like early next week in record territory. Those highs are going to be around 90, the average in the lower 70s. In just a few minutes, we'll talk about some rain chances coming with that warmth. Annie?
For the first time, we're getting a look at the whistleblower complaint that led to the impeachment inquiry against President Trump. The whistleblower says the president used the power of his office to get aid from a foreign country to help with his upcoming re-election campaign. Corey Rangel shows us what else we're learning.
The whistleblower complaint that triggered impeachment proceedings against President Trump has been declassified and released. It claims the White House wanted to lock down details about a call between President Trump and the president of Ukraine.
It's a disgrace to our country. It's another witch hunt. Here we go again.
Today, the president again denied doing anything wrong. But the whistleblower says the White House misused a national security computer system to try and protect politically sensitive information instead of national security information.
The White House used to hide information of a political nature. This is a cover-up.
There is an allegation of a cover-up.
Today, the nation's top intelligence official faced questions from members of Congress. Democrats grilled Acting Director of National Intelligence Joe Maguire about why he did not forward the complaint to Congress as required by federal law. He argued he had to consider executive privilege that protects communications with the president.
It was not stonewalling. I didn't receive direction from anybody. I was just trying to work through the process and the law the way it is it's written. I have to comply with the way the law is, not the way some people would like it to be.
Republicans call the process politically motivated.
The Democrats' mania to overturn the 2016 elections, everything they touch gets hopelessly politicized.
The whistleblower remains anonymous. In the complaint, the whistleblower admits that he or she was not a direct witness to most of the issues, but instead spoke to about a half dozen U.S. officials. In Washington, D.C., I'm Corey Rangel reporting.
Corey, thank you. More fallout from the college admission scandal. A businessman from L.A. just got sentenced to 4 months in jail. He paid $400,000 to a consultant to help his son get into Georgetown as a fake tennis recruit. All right, back to the lineup. Marijuana shops are seeing a drop in sales because of concerns about the sicknesses linked to vaping. It's bringing up questions about federal pot legalization. We're getting answers on that.
Hurry in now.
Welcome back. A day of celebration along the canal in downtown Indianapolis. The water was turned orange as part of a month-long activity to mark Hispanic Heritage Month. The Indiana Latino Institute has been behind this event for the third year now. The Institute sponsors events year-round focused on health, jobs, and education.
This is very important because we're bringing today the community stakeholders to celebrate the contributions of Latinos, all just here to celebrate all our Latinos, the different countries, the different cultures, and all that we bring to this great country.
Well, the ILI is incredibly pertinent nowadays with education coming to the forefront. You know, simply put, an educated population, an educated community makes educated decisions, both on health and on other things. So we're focusing 110% on elevating education. Health is important, but education is number one.
Another tradition of the event is a fun kayak race on the canal, as well as food trucks for the lunch hour crowd.
Uber is on the defensive today following a report from the Washington Post. The paper says former employees of the company say when it comes to safety and reporting crimes, Uber is business first. The former employees told the Post that Uber handled investigations internally without getting law enforcement involved. Uber denies the claims in the report and says it has taken steps to step up safety. Well, today the CDC released new numbers on its investigation into vaping-related illnesses. The agency confirming now that 12 people have died. The number of confirmed and possible cases is now at more than 800. That's across 46 states and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Meanwhile, a big win this week for businesses in the marijuana industry. The House passed a bill that would allow banks to work with those companies. Up until now, that hasn't been a possibility because marijuana is still illegal federally. Despite that, though, the industry is facing big concerns, specifically tied to vaping. Nationally, the revenue tied to vape sales for the marijuana industry has dropped 15%. Some states have been hit harder, with Oregon seeing a drop of more than 60%. But one big worry for the industry is the impact this health crisis could have on the future of federal legalization. One lawyer who specializes in cannabis law says she thinks this won't be a big issue.
My take on the vaping crisis is that overall it probably will not have a huge impact on the momentum of legalization at the federal level, hopefully other than to spur the feds to go ahead and regulate, because these things fall through the cracks when state governments are totally in charge of an otherwise unregulated nascent industry.
Other experts point to the fact that the vaping-related illnesses are tied to so-called black market products and not the ones you get at a licensed seller's. Well, another checkup of our lineup. Keeping our information safe online seems to be getting even more challenging these days. We're taking you inside the research institution behind inventions like Siri to see what it's doing to address this issue.
The only name you need to know.
If politics are stressing you out, you're not alone. 40% of people say that's happening to them. That's according to new research from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. 1 in 5 people say they've lost sleep over politics. 20% say political disagreements have damaged their friendships. And because of all of this, you really want to be careful about what you're talking about publicly. As we get closer to the 2020 race, conversations will likely start to happen more, including at work. Job site Monster found a lot more people are avoiding political talk with colleagues. But what may be even more important is that more than a third are still listening to those that do engage in these types of conversations. And that could come with some consequences.
One might be being passed up for promotion. Another one might not be getting the salary increase that you are hoping for and that you most likely deserve and that you're entitled to get. Another one could be just, being passed over for projects or not working productively with people on your team.
Monster's career expert says her advice about politics is don't bring it up at work. But if it does come up, switch the conversation to something less divisive, less heated. But avoiding it altogether can sometimes be complicated.
And you're finding that coworkers are bonding with each other and either you're feeling excluded or maybe you are bonding with other people that you feel like you have the same political views on, but others are excluded. You can bond in other ways. So find more neutral territory. It could be a mutual hobby or interest, maybe a book club.
Experts say to be aware that politics could come up in a job interview. It could be a test to see how you respond or just a sign of a workplace environment you might not want to be a part of. Turning to the Now news feed, 17 states are taking action against the Trump administration. It has to do with the decision regarding the Endangered Species Act. The states say a rollback would affect the ability to protect animals whose survival is being threatened. The rollback was supposed to start today. Well, the Anti-Defamation League has made several changes to its list of hate symbols. The ADL now includes the OK hand gesture as a hate symbol. In reports, it has been linked to white nationalism. Air pollution could pose more than a physical concern for children. Researchers say it could be linked to a higher prevalence of psychiatric disorders in kids. Now, they point to a specific pollutant that has led to more trips to the ER for things like adjustment disorders, depression, and anxiety.
Big Woods is getting bigger. The Indiana restaurant chain plans to open its 7th location this winter. According to a press release, Big Woods Hazel Dell will be at the Hazel Dell crossing near the intersection of Hazel Dell Road and 146th Street in Noblesville. The restaurant will seat 250 people and offer a menu similar to the Big Woods in Speedway and Franklin. About 80 people will be hired to work at the Noblesville location. Metro police officers were out in full force today on Georgia Street downtown, but they were not on patrol. They were there to have fun. The department hosted a community event with free food, live music, and entertainment. The Colts cheerleaders also made an appearance. Each IMPD district holds an annual community day for the neighbors they serve. Kyle, nice day for it.
The weather to get out there, and this evening that will continue. Maybe if you want to tap off the day here with a little bit of a barbecue. Checking out the view downtown Indianapolis and Monument Circle. The sun continuing to shine bright, and we've got a sea of green as we look at the Brown County leaf cam. Before too long, though, we're going to start to see these leaves changing a little bit, and I do think that with the dry weather we've had for much of the month of September, that may help to give us a little brighter fall color here. Time will tell. Temperature right now feeling fall-like out there at 74 degrees in Indy, 76 for you in Bloomington and Lafayette at 73 degrees. Now tonight will be comfortably cool and seasonably cool with temperatures right around 50 degrees, 51 Lafayette and Indy, but some locations actually dipping down into the upper 40s tomorrow morning, so you might need that light jacket for a couple of hours. You're not going to need it very long, though. We're still in the middle 50s here with sunshine at 8 a.m. The clouds will start to build in through the day, those temperatures making their way into the mid-70s for your lunch hour, and you're also going to notice that wind starting to kick up a little bit out of the south at 15 miles per hour, and that sends our highs back above average and into the 80s. That's ahead of a cold front that'll bring that chance for some scattered showers and thunderstorms. Now, this is TrueCast 5:30 tomorrow evening, so about 24 hours from now, you can see some thunderstorms from around Williamsport through Logansport and Peru. The best chance of seeing some rain and thunderstorms tomorrow evening going to be near and north of Interstate 70, and then we'll see another line of storms coming in overnight Friday into Saturday, but really the weekend ahead going to be in pretty good shape here. High temperatures tomorrow, 85 in Greenwood, 84 in Danville. Around 80 degrees for you in Lafayette. And we're going to have to watch this football forecast because as that line of showers and storms moves through, especially some northern communities may be interrupted here as we go through the game. Temperatures, though, will be at 76 degrees there at halftime. And looking ahead to your weekend, we got temperatures that are going to continue to heat up here into the middle 80s and rain chances isolated on Saturday at just 20%. The heat continues to build, though, into early next week with highs approaching 90. Annie.
You may not know the name SRI International, but you definitely know some of the inventions they've created. We're talking about the computer mouse, even Siri. And as it works on the next big inventions, Chris Stewart found that they're aware that keeping our information safe is more important now than ever before.
I really enjoy being part of the future, trying to imagine what the future is and to live in that future as much as possible. SRI is a research institute. We're a nonprofit and not-for-profit institute founded by Stanford University.
What's studied in this room?
In this room is the Internet of Things Center, where we're trying to understand the security and privacy aspects of Internet of Things. The Internet of Things is this growing world where everything is a computer. So your refrigerator and your car are computers now.
Is there more focus now on privacy? Do you think people care about it more than maybe they did 5-10 years ago?
I think there's now more recognition that computer security matters and that the private information that you have on your computer should stay private, and that there are unfortunately threats to that based on the vulnerabilities out there in the world, in your devices as well as the internet. There's a huge trend of moving more and more data to the cloud, right? So this Amazon, Google, Microsoft have very large cloud offerings. If my private data is out there in the cloud, how protected is it? So one of the trends is trying to lock that down, to provide real guarantees.
How big of a challenge is that, to actually have that guarantee that my information isn't going to just go somewhere that I don't know?
So sadly, it's very hard. Sadly, this is a difficult research problem.
How optimistic are you that these challenges that we're facing now, these concerns that people have, will not be a bigger issue moving forward?
So the good news is there's some brilliant people engaged in this topic, trying to understand the concerns and then identify ways to move forward and provide security and privacy for people's data out there in the internet. There's a great deal of progress being reported in academic conferences, new breakthroughs in how to encrypt data in a way that allows one to compute with it, but yet protect the privacy of those data that's used.
Thanks, Chris. Well, a cruise company is hoping Voluntourism will help the Bahamas in its recovery process. Bahamas Paradise Cruise Line is now operating a weekly trip to the island nation. The grand celebration takes passengers as either tourists, volunteers, or both.
If you don't have the cruise ships coming in, if you don't have the planes coming in, if you don't have people working in the hotels, driving the taxis, working at the beach resorts, there's not really anything else for them to do because there isn't really any other sustainable industry.
The cruise line has a second ship, which will start trips on October 12th. Well, a high school senior with special needs gets to celebrate the moment of a lifetime on the gridiron. PJ Allred has cerebral palsy. Now, his football coach in Missouri put him in at the end of the game last week. PJ ended up taking the ball 80 yards for a touchdown. Well, there's a 12-year-old boy from the Tampa area. He's working to honor veterans. So 6 years ago, Alan Landers combined his love for superheroes and his desire to help those who served our country. He created a superhero run where they raise money to send our veterans on an honor flight to see the war monuments in D.C. Well, in just 6 years, he's helped raise $60,000 to send 150 vets on the trip.
His heart is so big. He is just an incredible young man.
Alan and his team are gearing up for their next run, which is next month. Well, an Ancestry.com DNA test led to a big surprise for a Tennessee family. Gail Manning ended up finding out that her great-grandfather was a POW in World War II. A genealogist working for the Army contacted the Mannings and shared the story of Corporal Vernon Jennings. He actually helped fight off Japanese forces so General MacArthur could escape.
I think he's at peace now. I think that there was a reason why all this happened, and he wanted to come home somehow, some way.
Well, the Army was able to pass along Corporal Jennings medals to the family, including a Purple Heart. One final look at the lineup. McDonald's and Disney are the latest big names to get in on the plant-based food craze. We're looking into whether it's actually better for you.